Okay. Hi everyone. It's really, really nice to see so many of you here. So my name is Pauline, as you can tell from my slide. I am currently a digital development and operations graduate at BT. I'm also a remote web developer for the University of Sheffield, and I also love blogging. So I've been blogging since I was 8 years old. So I love putting that as part of my little title. So that's my Twitter. Feel free to be on your phones and tweet what I say, but obviously I won't get offended if you're like sat there tweeting on. Right. So that's not going to work on me, is it? Okay, you know what? I'm going to do it like this. Cool. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about diversity. So what is diversity? The definition from Google says that it's the fact that of many different types of things or people being included into something. So in this case, I wanted to talk about people diversity in technology. I think a lot of people, when they think of diversity, they think of immediately gender, but it is a lot more than that. It's more than just having more women in technologies. It's more than, it's just more than gender. We need to have conversations around race, around LGBT communities, and disabled communities, and age, and everything. So I want to focus mostly on my experience as a woman of colour in technology. But again, that isn't it. There is so much more we can talk about. As I say that, these are the current statistics that I found on Tech Nation. This focuses mostly on women in tech, but again, like I said, there's so much more to diversity than just gender. So as you can see, these percentages aren't great. Right now I work in a mostly all-male dominated team, and even though I love my team and I love my job, I look around and sometimes that imposter syndrome comes in, that feeling of belonging doesn't sit in quite well just because I look around me and there's no one who looks like me. So this is why I'm really passionate about it, and something I really want to talk about to you guys today. I wanted to quickly talk about my journey. I've seen a lot of people here who have spoken about my journey before, so sorry if I'm repeating myself. So I first started my journey into technology from a hobby. So I was around 8 years old, and I was on a website called Pixo, and Pixo allowed you to create your own websites. It was literally drag and drop. And from there, I was so interested in building websites and just understanding how the internet works, how you build websites, what the code is all about. So I first got started when I was 8. And as I moved on so I was at school and I hit my GCSEs. I did a GCSE in computing. I don't know if they still call it GCSEs these days. I don't know what they call it now. But I did my GCSEs, did a GCSE in computing, and when I walked in, I was the only girl there, and I felt immediately very alone. I looked around me, and they were all white guys. And I remember one of the main comments I used to get, when I first joined was, are you sure you're supposed to be in this class? Text houses upstairs. And I was like, actually, I am supposed to be in this class. But kids are rude, kids are very mean, and that's just how it happened. And then because of that experience, walking into that class with literally no other girl, no other person who was from a different background, I immediately felt very excluded. And from then, when I was choosing my A-levels, I looked around my other classes and chose ones that I felt most comfortable in, and at that time it was biology and chemistry. So I did my A-levels in biology, chemistry, and sociology at Tapton. Yay! At Tapton. And so when I chose my A-levels, I decided to go into Sheffield University and study biomedical sciences. I really, really enjoyed biology, chemistry, and learning about the human body. And at some point, my parents thought I was going to be a doctor. And they're here right now, so I thought I was going to be a doctor. But yeah, that didn't happen, thankfully. So yeah, then I went to study biomedical sciences, and I quickly realized in my first year and in the middle of my second year that biomed wasn't for me. I loved learning about the human body. I loved the applications that it has and the impact on people, but personally I just couldn't see myself in that career path. So being a very lost and confused undergrad, I was like, okay, I'm just going to see this degree out, maybe do a master's degree so I don't have to face the real world. Yeah, does that sound familiar? Because yeah, I did that. So I decided that, but then in the middle of my degree, I joined a community called Code First Girls. So this community, I go on and on about it. If you follow me on social media, I tweet about it at least once a day because it's made such a big impact on my life. So in my second year, I remember coming home from my lecture and just literally sitting there wanting to just cry because I hated my lab work. I didn't like my modules at that time, and so I literally was just on the sofa, like going through my emails, and I got an email from Code First Girls sent from the computer science department at Sheffield University. They were like, we have an all-coding course specifically for non-binary and female students. If you want to learn how to code in 8 weeks, then come join us. And I already knew how to build websites. Like as a hobby, it was consistently something I did. There was a point in time when I was very embarrassed about it, and I tried my best to hide it away from everyone because I didn't want kids like going on it at school and our IT class making fun of it and stuff. So I was very, very low key about it. And then so I was like, oh wow, this sounds amazing. I get to code with a group of girls, and I also could be part of like a community. And so I joined, and because I did HTML, CSS, and JavaScript before, I literally found myself helping the other students I taught them, and I later became like a full-time, part-time instructor for the course. Really, really enjoyed my time there. I was an ambassador as well, and when I joined, it was mostly that student-teacher feel. So the female students would come into to the course. It was 2 hours a week for 8 weeks. They'd come into the course, learn something, and then leave. And when that happened like twice in my sort of cycle, and I quickly found that even though that's fantastic, they come out with skills, they come out with a certificate to say that they've learned how to code, there was a lot more that we can do to engage the students to the wider tech community, because tech wasn't just that little course, So I decided, being really inspired by other communities in Sheffield, like Sheffield Digital and Hack Sheffield, and the hackathon community that we have in Sheffield, I decided to start a mini project which I called #ChefCodeFirst. You can find it on Twitter. And that project was literally bringing all of these female students to different tech communities. So we went all over the country. We went to Nottingham, we went to Leeds, we went to London. So we went all around the country to go to these tech events to hear speakers like we have today, to talk about, to see that what they've learned from the course can actually be applicable. It's more than just a certificate. So I was very passionate about that, and it was a project I had on the side, on top of graduating, studying to finish my degree. Really enjoyed that, and I graduated in, feels like years ago now, but it was in July last year. I graduated in July last year, and before then, before I finished my final year, I finalized that actually I'm going to go into technology. It's the career path that I've always enjoyed all the way from when I was 8 years old. I've always enjoyed coding. I've always enjoyed learning about new technologies. So I decided to apply for these tech jobs. I got rejected. Every single one I applied to, I got rejected. And there was a certain point in my spring semester, I was like, actually, you know what? I'll just go back to retail and just work from there. I started getting a lot of imposter syndrome, even though I did loads of tech talks like these. I attended all these tech events and everything related to courses and everything. I still felt like I wasn't good enough, and that maybe the tech industry is supposed to have just white male guys, just that's just what makes up the tech industry. Until I applied for a graduate scheme at BT. So at the time of when I applied, it was actually EE, but then recently, after I joined, they merged the two. So BT Group, if you didn't know, fun fact, BT Group now own EE and like other companies like PlusNet. So then, as part of my BT interview, I remember sitting there with a panel of white men, and I remember standing there and I was like, whew, this is tough. I don't think I can do this. But they asked us to do a presentation on something we're very passionate about that aligns with their corporate responsibility. So I did my presentation on women in tech and the importance of diversity in the workplace. And again, I did a similar talk to this where I shared my story about how when I was at GCSE level, it was just me, and I'm interested and passionate in this industry because I want to learn more tech, and I genuinely am passionate about the new technologies coming out, but also I go to this industry and I see that there's no one who looks like me. No, it's just mostly white men. And honestly, when I did that, I felt super brave, but and I looked at their faces and I was like, that's it. Why do I have to keep talking? Why can't I just keep my mouth shut and do something else? But I did it, and they loved it. I got really good feedback on my presentation, on my interview, and I ended up getting the job. So right now, my graduate scheme, I do 4 rotations in the digital engineering team that works on the website ee.co.uk and bt.co.uk. So right now my first rotation is in digital architecture, which is more of the business side. So whenever someone has a new feature idea, my team look at how that can fit in the current architecture and how we can simplify that architecture. And then my next rotation is in development. So these first 6 months have been mostly me planning and looking at all the features, looking at all the new things that can fit into the architecture, and my next rotation is actually developing them, which is so exciting. There's so many exciting things that's happening at BT. So, like I said, I'm really passionate about improving diversity. So my question is, what can we do to improve diversity in the workforce, especially in technology? I'll be using mostly examples from my experience and my story. I want to stress that there is so much more we can do. It's literally not just 3 things I talk about here. There's so many avenues you can go into, but this is what has been working for me, from my experience and the experience of my communities that I've been a part of. My main one that I really am super passionate about is that we need to start early. So we need to engage the specific groups that we want to get into the tech industry, who are the future of the tech industry. So I've got 2 examples here. The one on the left was an event in Sheffield run by a social enterprise called Stemets. Stemets, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
And what they did was they ran an event specifically for schoolgirls, and they invited them to do workshops around CVs, public speaking, and they did other workshops like engineering, related workshops, becoming a scientist, working in tech, being a developer, and all sorts of things. And it was such a fun event. They collaborated with the job hunting website Monster.co.uk. I think that's the website. But they collaborated with them, and it was such a fantastic event. That picture was of the last event, so they asked everyone, they asked a few people to go up on stage and share what they learned. And I didn't know that, when I attended the event, I didn't know that it was specifically for school kids, so I ran up to the stage and I was like, I want to share what I learned. But then it was mostly for school kids, as you can see from the rest of the panel. But it was really interesting, and from that, once I left that event, I saw all the girls, they were so engaged, they were so enthused by what they heard, and I remember hearing one of them say, I want to be a scientist. I want to, be the next Grace, for example. It was so inspiring. So definitely having events like these specifically for the younger generation, especially the younger generation of girls, can really, I've seen it from my own eyes, can really inspire and enthuse them. This other one, this event that I did last December, was a growth meal STEM event that was hosted in London in one of the government buildings. I felt very in Westminster. I was very fancy. I was like, oh, this is amazing. So they had loads of. It was specifically for not so well off schools. Focused, so they got all the girls from those not so well off schools, and we did like a panel talk about our career journey and like our main take-home messages, our main advice for them to get into tech and STEM in general. So after I left that event, I remember there was this one girl who came up to me and she was like, I'm going to do exactly what you did. I'm going to do biology and I'm going to do chemistry at A-level. Then I'm going to switch to tech. And I was like, that is great, but did you hear what everyone else says? There's so many different routes. You don't have to like do like exactly the same thing I did. But it was just really nice to hear that I've impacted a young girl's life. You know, I'm hoping that somewhere in the future I get to see her like also talking at a tech conference, talking about how she also did biology and chemistry at A-levels. Who knows? But it was really, really good. And you know, exposure at such a young age can have a long-lasting impact. I think my parents allowing me to go on the computer when I was 8 years old really allowed me to, you know, start building all these websites and gave me the opportunity to really get involved. So honestly, having that early engagement is so important. So I just want to quickly say some of the companies that I recommend. So there's STEMX, like I said. There's also Brightbox Makerspace in Sheffield. They do specific girls in engineering type things. So they take in young girls into little workshops and they sort of improve their enthusiasm towards like building and making things. Really, really good. This is where my t-shirt comes from. # Girls with Drills. So definitely get involved. And there's loads of like meetups in Leeds as well, related to like schools and yeah, engaging with local schools. So definitely recommend doing that. Also, like I said, I say this all the time. I've done talks specifically on communities, but the power of communities has honestly just changed my life. On the left there was I'm wearing the same shirt. On the left there was the Code First Girls Northern Conference, where I took some of the students from the course I was teaching at to the conference, and so they heard from like experts in the field, women, leading women in the field, and that community is absolutely incredible. You meet the most amazing, engaged, inspiring women who can give you loads of advice. I have like loads of mentors from the Code First Girls community. Honestly, can't recommend it enough. I'll quickly pitch in that right now in Sheffield it's growing so much, so it was a University of Sheffield specific course. But now they've extended it to Hallam, so they have Code First Girls courses in Hallam. So if you want to learn how to code, definitely get involved in that. They also have a more general course for women who have recently graduated or who don't fit the exact criteria of studying at a university. So definitely get involved with them. And on the right here was when I went to the MLH hackathon event. So a hackathon is a 24-hour marathon where you build for 24 hours, you code for 24 hours, but you don't have to, by the way. Self-care is like top priority. But you code for 24 hours and at the end you present what you've built in just those 24 hours. So this community gave me the confidence to code more and to look at new technologies I've never seen before. So I definitely recommend that you get involved in that. Right now they have 2 communities in Sheffield. They have Hack Sheffield. So if you do a quick Google search of Hack Sheffield, they'll pop up. But that's specifically to Sheffield University students. But they do hackathons twice in a year. which they open up to everybody. It's a really great way to network with other students who know how to code already, so you can sort of understand how they approach things and what they're currently working on. And they also have MedTech Sheffield, HackMed, which is specific to medical students or anyone from the sciences background who want to work on interesting tech in the medical space. Really, really amazing stuff. There was this guy who did like a whole VR project on like a doctor's office. So he did like it was like a virtual doctor's office, and then you put the headset on and you could go in and then like look at patient records. I don't know how they did that in 24 hours, but he did, and it was amazing. So yeah, those are the two communities I definitely recommend that you get involved in. But there's also other ones, such as meetups like these. You're already doing a great job by coming to this event. We also have in Sheffield like the Ruby on Rails meetups. I think there's PHP ones, Agile ones, DevOps, Sheffield stuff. So there's loads and loads of communities. If you go onto sheffield.digital, there's a list of them there. So definitely get involved. I want to quickly mention the stuff that we're doing at BT. So BT, one of the main things that really attracted me towards both EE and BT was their #1 priority of having diversity at the forefront of everything as part of their interviewing process and everything. So it's been really, really good working for such a company that focuses so much on tech. So they believe that diversity in tech is important because, as you all know, BT, British Telecoms, has such a wide variety of customers. So if all of the people behind who are working on BT products are all white men, then it's not going to reflect the products that we have. So they try their best to work on diversity. So 3 of the main things that I've been involved in since I joined was the People Network. So we have a Gender Equality Network, which is run by the people in BT, and they basically have mini meetups like this, but it's very internal. It's such a great opportunity to meet other people from around the business and talk about experiences. We also have things like LGBT and the Muslim Network and things like that. It's just such a great way to have these mini communities within the company. They also have this recently launched Further Her program. They say Further Her, but I read it and it says Further Her program. So that's actually in collaboration with Code First Girls. They did a collab where they brought in 30 female recently graduated students to come in for an intensive 3 months of learning how to code. And at the end of it, they are guaranteed an interview to become a software developer, and I was thankfully a mentor for that because I talked about my experiences at Code First Girls because I've done so many years with them already, but also my recent experiences of joining BT. I think it was as of last week, every single one of the girls who attended that course in BT now have a role within BT as a junior software engineer, and that blows my mind. That is incredible. It's initiatives like these, programs like these that help bring in that diversity, help bring in that talent. So we also have a Tech Women program, which is for all the women of BT, regardless if they work in tech or not, and this is literally it's more focused towards upskilling your confidence, your negotiation skills, and I didn't get into the program this year because I joined late in September, but last year they actually got a 70% rate of the women who joined that. They all got promotions. That's amazing. 70% got promotions from that program, just applying those skills. So like I said, they've won so many awards. For example, they've been nominated as the Times Top 50 Employees for Women in 2017 and 2018. That is incredible. I'm so proud to be part of such a great company. So these could be some sort of programs that could probably help you with your own, that you could take back to your own organizations. And I specifically want to stress that the Further Her program with Code First Girls, join them. Speak to them. They're always looking for collaborations. That already shows how impactful that has been on 30 girls' lives. So definitely get involved with that. So I quickly want to run through the impact of diversity. As you all know, I'm sure I'm going to whiz through this, but just in case I haven't convinced you yet, diversity is very important because it gives us, again, a better understanding of our customers. You cannot have, like I said, all white men or all a specific group making products for a diverse range of people. It's just impossible. So, so if you have diverse customers, you need diverse employees, gives you a better understanding of customers. Diverse talent. So when, like Sharon was sharing, if you go in with a diverse background, like I was from like learning how to code when I was 8 and then joining these communities and then like doing a biomedical science degree, all of these skills all bundle up to like contribute and add value to a team. So that again is very important. This is why we need more diverse talent. So there has been a Deloitte 2013 review that says that they found that 83%, there was an 83% increase when employees felt included and supported when the company sort of is supportive of diversity. So that's amazing if you want better productivity. There you go, have better diverse teams. Obviously it's not a simple equation like that, but you know, it shows that there is an impact. Again, like it retains talent, so if you have, there was a Women Ahead 2017 study that shows that there is like a correlation, even though correlation doesn't equal causation, but there is a correlation between retaining talent and having a diverse workforce. And also improves employer brand. So I'm sure you all know, but all of the UK employees with 250 plus employees are now required to have like a report on the gender pay gap. And they found that last year that 78% of men get paid more than women on average, that's crazy because we should all be paid equally. But now that that's out there, there's public awareness and there is more of when people apply, I know I do, when I was applying to jobs, I would go straight to their diversity and inclusion sort of page to read about what they've done, because for me, it's really, really important, and increasingly it's becoming such a huge part of people's choices in like employers. So if you want better talent, the best people to join your team, having a really good employer brand helps. So I've been rambling on for it says 27 minutes, but this is my main take-home message. So diversity is being invited to the party, inclusion is being asked to dance, and belonging is dancing like no one's watching. Belonging is this feeling that I know that I felt this in my previous roles, but whenever I feel like I belong, I'm really part of the family in my team, I perform so much better. I can be 100% myself without the fear of being judged, and that is important. I mean, diversity isn't just about ticking all these boxes, and it's not just saying, oh, we've recruited 3 new female developers. It's not about that. It's about actually caring that they have integrated well into the team and actually including them in things. It's not just a number, but numbers are important. So that's my take-home message. I think the main 3 things, just to round it up: early engagement, community involvement, and in the real world, in your organizations, I hope you sort of have become inspired by the fact that BT have been doing all these amazing things in diversity and inclusion space. So yeah, I hope that's inspired you. Thank you so much for listening. I'm always really happy to talk to people more about like diversity, getting into tech, and all of these resources and contacts around the tech industry. So if you do want to get in touch, these are my social media handles. I also blog at Pauline.com. I talk a lot about tech, although recently it's all been about holidays, hence my tan. So, but yeah, so feel free to get in touch with me there. Thank you so much.